dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you tonight. Why? Because I said so. We got some new people and we got some people that always come through. And so this is going to be good. We're going to be talking about money in marriage, or money in marriage, or marriage in money. And we kind of following up from last week's conversation. And so we have a question that we're going to start off with, as we call it, the icebreaker. Hopefully people in the back are ready, because, I just pull up at any time. You dig? So we're going to start off with the question of, what failure have you learned from the most? Or what failure have you learned the most from, shall I say? What failure have you learned the most from? Okay. And we're going to go with the person that never has an answer. Okay. But always ready to talk. And he already know who that is. Mr. Prototype.
What's going on, man?
I'm good, bro.
I really don't have an answer for this one.
You say that all the time.
I know, but I really
literally
don't.
Every episode you say I don't have no answer.
I really don't. With failures, like, that's something I tried to do and wasn't able to accomplish. Man, I don't have an answer. I will say it's
Probably because you don't fail. Is that what it is? You don't fail.
I mean, I'm persistent, man. It's like, I'm resilient, dog. Like, I just don't give up. So
okay.
I don't know, man. I mean, the only thing I could say is it's easy to get in trouble. It's hard to get out of.
Okay.
That's all I got.
You starting off like that. Okay. Listen, I see what type of night you gonna come with. All right, that's a bit. All right, so coming to the stage, it's none other than my sister in love. She does everything. I don't know what it is. She can't sing, so I can say that. You know what I'm saying? That gifting was to give it to somebody else on her behalf. Welcome to the stage, Miss Shane.
Facts. No singing here. Bless God for it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is a good question. I think the largest lesson in the last 5 years that I have learned from that was from a failure was my marriage.
Okay.
I have learned a lot about what it should have been, how to maybe do better next time, what it is that I did wrong, and how I can improve myself. So a lot of work on me to be better for myself, for somebody else, for my children. So yeah, that was the great lessons.
That's what's
Great
up.
lessons.
I appreciate you. That was way better than Prototype. But hey, that's neither here nor there. All right, we ready? All right, so we got a newcomer coming to the stage. I checked out this brother on TikTok, and him and his family do an incredible job of entertaining while providing a lesson to those that of us are seeking marriage and wanting to do better as being married people. And we're gonna welcome to the stage. Now his name is long, but I'm gonna just shorten it. Okay, and we're gonna go and welcome Mr. Tay. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Humble Dad. Thanks for having me here, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here. You got the question?
I got the question, man. You're going in the bag early. What failure have I learned the most from? I would say I have a football past. So I would say losing my starting job my last season of playing indoor football. And what it taught me was what's important and what's not, and that the most important investment that you can make is in yourself. because I was like trying to climb that ladder, trying to chase that dream that, I was investing in that team name. I was investing in the owner dreams and his priorities and what he wanted instead of mine. And, losing my position, like we still won the championship, but that's when I decided, it's time to walk away from football and really prioritize what mattered, focus on what mattered. And that's when I just kind of went on that self-discovery journey, as you can say, and just developing who I am, going to work on the gift that God has put within me, using the skills that I had as a quarterback. So when people see my messages now, I just tell them I'm still a quarterback. I'm putting people in position to win in life instead of a football field. So I would say losing my position as a quarterback, starting quarterback, was probably the biggest failure that I learned from.
That's dope, man. I appreciate you being here today. Hey,
Definitely.
and absolutely. Hey, and then we got man, I don't even know what to say or what not to say about her, because she definitely will get a comeback, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta make sure I'm okay with what it is that I have to say, you know what I'm saying? Because she is all the way up east, you know what I'm saying? You know how them New Yorkers is, you know what I'm saying? And she got her curls out today instead of the straightening. And we're gonna talk about Miss Taken. What's going on, lady? You doing you on mute. You taking Dwayne's place today.
I said, yay, that's right. Don't let that New York come out, son.
That's what's up. Hey, my bad. Hey, so go ahead and answer the question.
Martavius actually took my answer.
You the starting quarterback?
And not the quarterback part, but about prioritizing time. Okay. I think what I learned was in 2021, actually. My husband and I both caught COVID. He got it, and then I caught it from taking care of him. And I have asthma, so mine got really, really bad. And I mean, I don't know if I was going to die, but it felt like I was going to die. And so at that time, I had nothing but time because I couldn't move, couldn't really, do too much, and was just thinking about all of the faults that I made in terms of prioritizing, career, going to school, things like that, instead of my family. I was telling myself I was doing it for my family, but they needed my time, and I was chasing the money so I can do things, and have things. And when I thought I wasn't going to be here, none of that mattered. And so there was a lot of regret on, those years I can't get back, but I definitely learned to prioritize things differently now.
That's what's up. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for the answer, for sure. Prioritizing. That's a very good thing that most people and everybody should be doing, is prioritizing, for sure. And I want to, welcome to the stage the person that's always consistent in my life. You know what I'm saying? And he gives me problems. You know what I'm saying? He's like that thorn in your side, but it's needed. You know what I'm saying? Welcome my accountability partner, Mr. Dwayne Jones. How's it going, sir?
Doing well. How y'all?
Come on, boss. Listen, that's 2 weeks in a row you came off the mute button.
Yeah. Fool me.
I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you.
12 times, but we got this.
What you got on the question, bro?
Man, I didn't even see the question. Okay.
The question, okay, I'll read it to you.
Appreciate it.
The question is, what failure have you learned the most from?
Oh, man, saying that I can't learn from somebody. Oh, boy, that was a lesson right there. That was a lesson. Yeah, so I had an old boss. Gave me problems. Oh, man, he gave me problems. So I was like, you know what, man, he ain't, I can't learn nothing from him. Man, did I learn a lot. Oh, yeah. It was like, I remember telling him one time, I was like, you know what, whenever I come back from, my wife was having a baby and I was going to take 3 months off. When I come back, I'm going to ball out. I'm going to ball out like Jordan. Didn't realize I was talking to the ref, because he made the rules, and I'm over here sitting like, I'm thinking I'm talking to the coach or something. No, everything like they did to Allen Iverson. Travel, carry, two-step, everything. They call them everything. So
I know what you're talking about.
I learned from that. Yeah, you watch who you talking to. Know your audience. So
That's
on
what's
that
up.
one, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here as always, man. You know what I'm saying? My homie. All right. And then this is a young man that I got to know over on King Talk. And he's been gone for a while doing this thing. And I'm glad that he's back. And for whatever reason, he decides to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But I ain't going to hold that against him. My homie, my friend, Mr. King Rio in the building.
What's happening, Doc?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm thinking about this question that you got on the screen. I should have probably asked you what it was earlier today if it gave you a good answer. But I think I learned a lot of hard. I said I should have probably asked you the question earlier today to give you a good answer to this one. But but I think I learned a lot of hard lessons. I tell you, I'm a very determined and hard-headed kind of a person. So I mean that's been probably the stories. If I were to think back as a dad today, I would say I probably would have took more guidance and maybe stayed in the nest a little bit longer because I tend to, kind of just jump out there and take whatever comes, so that's probably my answer for this one.
That's what's up. When I came off the question and I had no idea what I was going to say because I'm not like Prototype where he doesn't fail. You know what I'm saying? I've failed in my life a couple of times, whether it was sports, as a father, as a believer, as as a friend, as a brother, and I would say that I failed in all those areas. But what I'm doing now, that what it's taught me is what Prototype was saying about being consistent. If I'm being consistent, then I could get better every day.
Persistent.
What's that?
Persistent.
Okay, persistent.
It's a difference.
Okay. What's the difference, Prototype?
Persistent is going through something, being consistent, going through stuff at the same time.
You just watch that meme.
That's the difference.
That is the difference, but
Look it up.
Just watch that. I agree. I'm saying, but I know.
There's like
your
difference.
word of the day. I got you.
Persistent.
I am persistent for sure because I've had to overcome a lot in my my lifetime. So that I appreciate y'all answering that question. That was a pretty deep question. So we're gonna fall back and we're gonna start with a simple question. All right. So I'm gonna call on somebody. Right now, when you finish answering the question, then you will decide who goes next. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start with this question: who pays for dates during courtship? Who pays for dates during courtship? Now, the reason why I asked this question is because we talked about something like this last week, and some of the people were providing their answer. And so I said, you know what? Let me kind of put that in the question pot for this week, right? And so I'm going to start with the newcomer of the day, Mr. Tay. What you got on it? Who pays for the dates during courtship?
I can only give you from my experience, and I paid for the dates. For me, I did it for myself. I didn't expect my wife to, my girlfriend at the time. So me, I believe it, and I think it just boils down to the people who are actually doing the date, and they pretty much get to decide because each person is some people are very tight with their money. Some people are not. Some people are very loose with their money. Some people are not. So I think it just boils down to the person and their perspective on money. So I'm gonna go to the guy that never fails because I know he got a perfect answer to this, and I'm gonna go to Prototype.
I definitely got a perfect answer for this one. I actually wanted to go first. I'll pay for the dates, but I am looking for some contribution to know if there's going to be a second, third, or if we're going to continue, right? So if we going out to dinner and I got the bill hands down, but if she don't like, hey, I got the tip, something like that on like either like the first, second date, then I know like this is going to be a short time lived. So that's kind of like how I would look at it, and I'm just looking for cooperation in making sure the environment stays. You know what I'm saying? Like they're adding to the environment opposed to just taking from it. Let's go with Miss Taken.
What do y'all think I'm gonna say?
I think you're gonna say you've paid for some dates.
I have. I have actually. I am so initial date, first date. I definitely think it should be on the man. That's me. But if it's something that we see that we like really are liking each other is going to be continual, then at that point I don't mind, by the third date, like I'll get it, something like that. But yeah, I don't have any issue with paying for a date, but the initial date, I want the man to pay for it.
Who you got going next?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Rio.
For me, the answer is pretty simple. I think it's whoever asked the other person to go on a date. Ideally, if I ask you to go to lunch with me, I'm not expecting you to pay. And vice versa. I just think in courtship, I think the man should probably take most initiative on that end of things, and naturally, right, you would pay. But if it just so happens the person that you're dating says, "Hey, I want to take you out tonight," you know what I mean? And if you agree to it, by all means. But if things, nevertheless, you should still have a gentleman way about yourself, right? And I would feel very uncomfortable ordering something way, um, I wouldn't get so extravagant that it makes it an uncomfortable situation if I were to go on a date that she asked me to go on. So, yeah.
A rule of thumb, I wouldn't take you anywhere that I wouldn't go myself and pay for that same thing, right? So I go by the same thing, even if someone was taking me out. I'm not going to order something from a menu that I normally wouldn't get and pay for my own. So if I'm ordering steak or lobster, then that means I pay for that and I get that on my own. I'm not going to wait till I go on a date to do that. I don't like when people do that.
Yeah.
Who you got going next?
Rio, you got to
I'm going to
choose.
say Shan.
I'm generally like mistaken. So I have paid for dates. The price range has varied. Some of it is, under 100. Some of it is over 100. And I go by the same thing. Like I'm not going to get brand new because I'm going out with somebody. I'm not counting your coins. I could care less what you have. And I have money in my purse. So if something happens or goes down, I can pay for my own, catch an Uber and go on by my business. So I think it's important that women also understand in dating, like, yes, a man is courting you, but that doesn't mean that you get to break the bank. You know what I mean? If you're looking at this person as being an investment into your future and vice versa, he needs to see that you all can work together. Kind of like what Prototype says, be cooperative. So I'm not into exploit someone's money. And go on, wrap it up, Mr. Dwayne.
Yeah, that's a good one. For this one, I have to say the guys, like I'm paying. If we supposed to be hunter gatherers, man, we better be able to gather up some coin to take this lady out on a date. You ain't hunting for nothing if you can't do that. That's just my opinion. So, and I'm not looking to go there splitting the bill 50 either. If I take you out, I'm taking you out. So, as in a courting stage, yeah. You gotta make sure your stuff is right. And if not, hey, that's an opportunity for you to be able to figure out if she's a ride or die or not.
I'm intrigued to know what's the date for you, Mr. I save my coins and cheap. You know what I'm saying? I keep it cheap and simple. You know what I mean? Like I'm intrigued. Like what kind of date you giving a lady? Because you stingy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're far and few between, and it's unfortunate. That's the type of dates, unfortunately, right now with the 4 kids and stuff like that. So it's like it's difficult finding a babysitter. But whenever we do, it's just a typical go out. My wife loves to dance. it's a fear of mine. Okay.
But you say, I'm
All
a
right?
dad. We're going to dance at the house. We
Yeah,
got music
and-
right here, baby.
Yes, and she's down for that. But I'm like, man, if I could take some dancing lesson or something like that, that would be golden. But I ain't built up the courage for all that though. One day, go do dancing lesson together. That could be a date. So
I actually been on one of those dates where it was for my birthday. We went to learn, what was it, line dancing in the tango. So that was pretty cool. So for sure. So let me kind of add an additional question. What's the price range, or is there one when you go out on this first date? So go ahead, Prototype.
We're just talking about first dates or dating.
We're talking about the first date. We're talking about the first date. The others, we'll get into that type of stuff in a moment. But we're talking about the first date.
Man, it's dependent on when, right? Like, I mean, there ain't really. If you asking me now, there ain't no price range for real. Like, it's
Did
whatever.
you just ask me? Was I talking about the first date or now?
No, I mean, like, are you asking 25-year-old me, or you know what I'm saying, or me like
Yes.
now, right?
Whenever the first date would be.
Like
What would
a
be the price?
25-year-old me, I had to be a little creative. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Creative is not a number, bro.
I mean, look, creative, like 25-year-old me, I had to be creative, and that's a park date. We going to the park. I'm gonna get some watermelon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna make sure like we go to movies in the park or something. I'm creative at 25. 40-year-old me, there ain't no limit. It's whatever. Like, you could go do whatever your heart will desire. Like, you know what I mean? So, but it's the type of date is probably going to be something like an active date. It ain't going to be no let's sit somewhere date. It's going to be let's go bowling, let's go rock climbing. It's going to be an active date. Let's go with
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
no, go ahead.
roll an answer.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna call you anyway.
Oh, well, thank you. I really think it just depends on the person and who you're courting or who you're talking to at the time. I mean, I've been on a first date where honestly, with this particular person, I wanted them to take me to their favorite restaurant. And I have done this a time or two. And like, I don't care what it is because I want to understand like who you are. So if your favorite restaurant is the turkey leg cut down the street, let's go. Like, let's just make it happen. So I guess it depends on the vibe, how the conversation is going, what it is that I'm intrigued about getting to know you based on conversation. And I'm more into active dates as opposed to sitting at a restaurant and eating. So if you say, hey, we're going to go, and that's not going to be expensive. We're going to go, to the gun range. We're going to go, bowling. We're going to go to an arcade. Like, I'm cool with those things because I like the being able to kind of talk and, get to know you and move around all at the same time. So I wouldn't necessarily, I'm very flexible in dating. Say it again.
Those are $150 dates at least. Bowling
can be. It depends on when you're going.
Bowling, especially here in Atlanta, where they turn every bowling alley to a club. I don't know if Houston's like that. But
oh no,
bowling here, $150. And what else you mentioned? You mentioned something else.
People?
Yeah, you mentioned something else. It's going to be $150.
Gun range.
Gun range can be pricey.
That's going to be $75 off the top. Then y'all still got to go get some food. That's
clip each.
That's about $250.
She said she didn't have a number.
Look, I'm telling you, like,
it just depends. It depends on the person. I think women, we should be a little, I don't know. I'm flexible. So, because I want to get to know you as a complete person. I want to see the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. I want to know all of you if I'm really interested in trying to pursue something with you. I don't want you just showing me the rosy part of who you are. And then I find out what the mess is later. Like, show me your mess up front and let me figure out if I want to deal with it. So, okay, I guess, look. Tay, is that how you say it, Martavius? Come on.
For me, I can just go back to my wife because I don't think I'd really the first date with most women before her wasn't that serious because I think I saw her and I told my friend that's gonna be my wife. So I was already invested in that relationship. So with her, like I honestly would have spared no expense. But the great thing about living in South Dakota is the cost of living is very low. So the dates wasn't very high. And the thing about us in the beginning, we was both like breakfast people. So we would just go to restaurants that's mostly breakfast, IHOP or just local restaurants that's dealing with breakfast. So I mean, it didn't cost much, and most of the things that we wanted to do around here, if like go to a movies or whatever, like it wasn't much. So I think for us, like the cost was $50, $60, and I was willing to pay that if it was gonna be invested in just spending time with her, especially when we got together. Because in the beginning, we was like long distance for 6 months. So for me, that was we didn't really have to deal with the dates like that. So when we did finally meet and she did move back because of me, I knew it was serious. So I knew, like I said, it was an investment, and I was willing to do whatever it takes, and she was too. But like I said, the cost of living here is cheap, so we didn't have to really worry about breaking the bank or anything. So I think for me, it's what your intentions is with that person and where do you see it going, and I think you just adjust accordingly. If you don't think it's going to be something long term, that I don't think you should invest your time nor your money, because you're going to be wasting it, and you don't want to waste somebody's time, which I did for a long time as an immature person. And I learned those lessons, especially now that I have 3 girls and 2 boys. It's like, you know, and I don't want to have to see my girls go through that. So these are lessons that I had to learn to pass on to them and also teach my boys. And I tell them when they come home talking about girlfriends, I let them know, like, hey, that's going to be somebody's wife, so you better treat her accordingly. If you don't see yourself with her a long time, then don't play around with her, because that's somebody else's person and she's valuable to them. So I try to raise my kids with the mindset of some of the things that I've been through and some of the things I learned, because I think kids are very smart, and when you talk to them that way, I think you're just playing things in their subconscious that they pick up. And I just try to do that with my kids. So just going back to the date thing, like the cost of living here is super cheap. So my wife is not a picky person, so she just wanted time with me, and wherever we went really didn't matter as long as I was willing to be there and let her know. Like after the first couple of days, the first thing she said is, "What are we?" And I knew at that point, like we was gonna be in this thing long term. Like, you know, we tell people all the time, like we got life in prison. We don't say it's prison, but we got life. We coming in putting pictures on the wall. We're not going anywhere. So that's just my perspective on it. And I think I said, whatever you see that relationship being, I think you should adjust and invest according to that. So I'll go with let you go, Humber, or King Rio. I'll let you go.
Yeah, it's something that I don't really think about. Ideally, if you asked her on a date, you thought through it. I hope you decided, what would create an experience for you and her to have together. So ultimately, you know what it's going to run you ballpark. Even if things do get expensive, hopefully you have what you need to cover that, right? Um, when you're courting, it's not so much the other person's responsibility to know and understand how much you can afford to spend, right? That's up to you. And I think as the man, you have, you're in position to kind of design how the evening should go. So, when we start thinking about how much is it going to cost, well, you know where you want to go. You know what that restaurant serves. You know what drinks are going to run. You know what axe throwing or whatever it is going to be. So I don't think there really is anything to complain about. And I think Miss Taken actually mentioned, hopefully you've experienced whatever this is before, so you're not putting on a facade. You know what I mean? And if this is something that you would do anyhow, then you should be willing to treat her to that experience.
Who is it on you, Dwayne?
Okay.
Or did we already get your price?
No.
It's stay at home dates, isn't it?
I ain't got no. To
Yeah, it's
me,
like stay at home dates. That's fine.
no, man, stop. Leave me alone, man. No, the price. Like by that time, I was out of the club scene and all that, making it rain. I had a catch bucket for all that money. So at that time, I'll take it and we're going somewhere. And I like to eat good too. So it's like, okay, I see you. That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna have to get a bite though.
That's funny. Somebody, that's funny.
I got a
So,
question,
go
HD.
ahead. Yeah.
So some of the women take their husbands on dates, but let's say you're just courting, right? And she asks you on a date. You as the man, is that a little bit passive aggressive? Do you think, opposed to her just waiting on you to ask her to go on a
Mhm.
date? It's for anybody. I mean, I'm just thinking about that. You know what I mean? Is if we reverse that and we say, I'm interested in this woman and I ask her out periodically, but now she's asking to take me out. Is it because I'm not taking her out enough? Is that a passive aggressive thing, especially for the men who said they aren't willing to allow her to pay for the date? So Dwayne, you might be a good one to answer that question.
Oh man, if you want to take me out, and that's the lovely thing too. Like, both me and my wife, we were working at the time we were dating, and we had fairly stable jobs. So it was like, if she wanted to take me out, she just wanted to be like, hey, like, I'm able to contribute to this relationship as well. So I take it from the standpoint like, oh no, if you want to pay, I mean, hey, that's fine. To me at that time, it's all the same bucket as well. So it's like what Tay was saying. It's an investment. So I'm looking like, hey, I'll throw the bag at it because I know at the end of the day, I'm scraping it all off that table. That's how I was looking at it.
I was just wondering about that. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you never know. A person may, approach you and say, you know what, you've taken me to several nice places. I want to take you out this time. And I don't know if a man would say, no, I got it. You know what I mean? When she's just trying to, extend that gesture. So I was just curious about that.
It's like,
I mean, I've done that.
Yeah.
And I did that a couple of weeks ago, and he ended up paying anyway. He pulled out his card and paid for it. I just wanted to
probably
spend
forgot.
some time.
He probably
didn't.
I think
Well,
it's a thing.
there are some women that do that with the underlying, like they offer, but is not a real offer. And I'm not saying that's what Shan did, but
Right.
I know women that have done that where they're offering, with the expectation that the guy was going to pay, even though they initiated it. So, but to answer the question, I didn't answer it. I'm an easy date, and meaning that for me, it's about the experience. So it doesn't matter how much you spend, because if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to even consider that he spent so much money doing this. I just didn't enjoy it. I've been to like real fancy restaurants and did not enjoy it because there was a lot on there that I wouldn't even eat. So now I'm trying to find something that I can potentially eat. And then I'm feeling uneasy because I'm like, I'm paying $60 for a piece of chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't. But for me, it's more about the overall experience. So if you end up spending a lot of money and I had a great time, great. If you didn't spend a whole lot of money and you took the time to like plan something out, and it ended up being really thoughtful and nice, I'm going to enjoy it. So to me, it's really about the experience that you create more so than the money that you spend.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ms. Taken gives a good perspective, especially as a married woman. I think that's speaking from a place of things work. You know what I mean? As a unit with that type of mindset. But when she opened up and she led with the fact that some women are asking with the expectation that men are going to pay, that was the passive aggressive side of the coin that I was asking about. Right. So yeah.
Did anybody else want to give their take on this?
Well, sometimes you just gotta let somebody bless you.
I would also say, like, with my wife, like, I'm a black kid from Alabama. She's a white girl from Minnesota. So when she asked me out on a date, I think she wanted me to see things from her perspective and some of the things that interest her, and see from a point of view, like, are you willing to be able to adjust to some of the things that I like? And not saying compromise, but be able to adjust and still be able to have conversations and grow. So I think sometimes she asked me to do things just because she knew it's going to be, for one, outside of my comfort zone. And I think she just wanted to see how would I act to that. And I think that's how I've just been open to just see things from a different perspective. And I don't think she asked me to pay for many things. Many times if she wants us to do something, it really doesn't matter whether she asked or I asked. And me, like you said, being the gentleman or being like a guy people used to tell me, if you go back to the old days, if we get back to how they used to do things with the mindset, I think then we start to see things work. And like you said, it's just that partnership and just that communication and that open line that you have with each other. So from now, I think it was just her trying to show me, like you guys have been saying, that experience and see, like, do some of the things that interest me. Are you willing to be able to adjust and live a lifestyle with that as well?
That's what's up. Anybody else? Dwayne, was you about to say something? All right, yep. That's good. I appreciate y'all answering some of these questions. Some of these are kind of piggybacking off from our last week conversation as it relates to budgeting, right? We talked about budgeting, who sets the budget, how who's going to be in charge of the budget. And last week, the conversation was whoever does it best, depending on who you ask. And then somebody said, well, it should be the man that does it. So with that being said, whoever is in charge of the budget, that means the other person is having to, let me ask this question. Do you what's your thoughts on doing the budget together? Should it be done together, or should it be an individual that says this is where the money is going? Okay. We'll start with that real quick answers, and then I'm gonna get to the next question that I got. And we'll go with Dwayne. You can go first, and then you can choose who goes next.
Okay. Well, I'm fortunate enough that my wife's an accountant. So, yeah, by default, I just fix the remote to the TV and go about my way.
Yeah, hey, don't let Dwayne fool you. He building the whole house right now.
Fake it till you make it. But yeah, no, she's really good with money. So, and I'm not. So in that sense, like, she wants to save, and I'm like, baby, come on, like today, we got today, and she's like, next week, next month, next year, and I'm like, I don't think that far ahead. So she has that planning mindset, and then she's good with the numbers, so she takes care of it.
Who you got next?
Shan, come on with it.
When I was married, we tried to allow my ex to do the budgeting, and that worked for so long. And then I took over. Now, we did budget meetings together. However, I was responsible for making sure that everything, like all the bills, were paid. He was able to come to me and say, okay, this is what I have up. This is what I'm thinking. These are some things that I would like to do. And then we would adjust, right? Are we going to save for this particular endeavor? Are we going to spend money that we have in the budget to, cover this particular endeavor? It just depends on the month. But I was responsible, again, for making sure everything got paid. He's more of a free spirit. And so he spent money as a free spirit, right? So that was not the best for a long time in our marriage. But it definitely, once we were able to have those money talks, work together, write the vision down, and then see how our money was used to make that happen, things were a lot better. So I still think it should be about working together, but the person who is more responsible, who is better at it, should see to making sure that it is, fulfilled, if you will. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to pick somebody. Rio.
I would say who's ever most financially savvy. Honestly, I think that sometimes you just got to put the ego to the side and work to your strengths. At the end of the day, you're a team, right? And there's just two players here, and who's strong in this area and who's strong in this area. And just be honest with yourselves, right? Why make things difficult? Sometimes you got to put ego to the side and just do what's best for the team.
So when you say put ego to the side, are you saying a particular gender?
No, that can be on either side, HD, and I'm not even just talking about finances. I'm talking about just various things, just in the relationship. What makes your system flow, and how are you being most successful? I mean, because let's face it, you can't assign gender in every scenario as far as who's better at what. Naturally, we have certain things, and naturally, they have certain things. There's nothing that we're going to change about that department. However, if your wife can't cook and you're an exceptional chef, why sit there and continue to eat subpar food if you know that you make better food? I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, seriously, right? So, I mean, when we apply it to finances, it's the same thing, right? So, I just say, that's my take.
That's fair. Who you got going next? Who you got going next, King Rio?
Let's go prototype.
Man, I kind of fall in line with all the answers that everybody else has on the panel, man. It's kind
You
of
okay,
like
Prototype?
I'm not disagreeing. You stupid.
Like, that threw me for a moment because you ain't really disagreeing with nobody, my dude. I meant to interject because that was very surprising to me. Go ahead.
I mean, facts is facts. Y'all should do it as a team. I think that's ideal. It don't always happen ideally, but ideally, we should do it. We should sit down and have a budget meeting, and because two heads is better than one, But sometimes neglect happens, and it's the burden's left on one or the other, right? Or sometimes it's left on whoever's better. You know what I mean? So you just got to make do on how you do it, and but ideally, y'all should both be handling and coming up with a plan together on how to handle the finances. Um, I don't know who hasn't went. Was it mistaken? Did you go yet? Yeah, I'll go with you.
I pretty much agree with everyone. Budget together. That's what we basically do. So we know what income we have, what is the outgo. So everybody's aware of where the money is going. But then it has flip-flopped where one point he was carrying everything out, and then it flipped to me carrying everything out. And now it's back to him carrying thing out. But even though with the transitions of who's actually doing it, the planning always occurred with both of us. So we would know, what the bottom line is and where the money's going. But then one person to just kind of take over and actually paying, the bills. So we had joint account, and then we have our separate accounts as well. So
Who you got next, Ms. Taken? Did everybody go?
I think everybody went, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the last one, but I'm in agreement with all of you guys. We do the same much. My wife her mom's a businesswoman, so she's been raised that way, so she knows everything. And I wasn't raised by people who was in business, so her mindset just is far ahead. So we tell each other marriage is 100. So I'm not gonna, because like you said, ego, tell you like you do 80%, then I'll try to get in 20. Like you're getting in the way. So I'm like, you do that, and then we just have check-ins, and we go from there and make decisions together. So that's how we do it, like most of you guys.
That's what's up. I think that's, to chime in on that, it makes more sense to go to the strengths of people. I mean, if we're saying that it's a team, right? And in any team that you're on, if your role is just to rebound, if I'm talking about basketball, and that's what you're great at, then it doesn't make sense for you to try to be a scorer unless you're capable of, unless you're elite at both, right? So for me, I definitely think it makes more sense for you to talk about it so that everybody knows. I think somebody has said that everybody knows where you're at as it relates to the finances. Like if only one person is doing the budget, then the other person is oblivious to what's going on, and then they're surprised when money is not there, right? So if you do it together, then everybody knows what money is where and how it's going to be spent. And then y'all do a plan together. And so then I want to transition to or continue that with this particular question, seeing as though we're going to work together and then everybody knows what's to be spent. Then let's say that someone overspends. What's the conversation? And anybody can go. And we just going to have a conversation from here on out. Let's get it.
So I'll kind of jump in it like I put in the back chat, man. Is I think there should be like a house account, and don't matter what the other person do with their side of their money at all. Like, so if y'all come up with a budget and say this is how much the house costs, and this is the savings that we're gonna have the house bills and the savings, and then after that, you do what you want with the rest of your money. You know what I'm saying? But this is the goals for the house, and as long as that's in line, whatever you do after that, you go gamble it, throw it in the club, do whatever you want to do with it.
See,
And
I'm just gonna jump in. See, I don't know. I have an issue with that, and that was from my younger years with my husband before we actually got married. We were shackers. And at that time, because we were shacking, everything 50-50. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect him to cover everything, nor did he have the expectation that, I wasn't going to contribute. So we split down the line 50-50 when we were shacking. The problem with that was we both had different mindsets about money. And so even though I covered my half, he covered his half, whatever was left over, he's like, this is what I got left to spend and do whatever with. Whereas for me, it was, okay, we got all of the bills. And so in my mind, I'm like, all right, let me, my dad always said, always set a little bit of something to the side. So, so I did those things. So then when other things came up that we didn't actually plan for, then it was like he didn't have he didn't have any money because he done balled out with the money that was left over. And then I'm being more responsible, like, okay, I still have my spending money, but I'm setting some aside for the just in case. I don't know what might come up, but I'm having me a little bit. And so then that didn't necessarily work out. So we had to, but since we weren't married, I didn't really feel like I had much to be able to say how he spent his money or what he did with his money. So I didn't. So when we got married, I realized that I should have said something because now our finances kind of, commingled. And if there were things that came up, then it was like, it kind of fell on me because I was the more responsible one and set my money aside. So then we had to come back to the drawing board and be like, before we got married, this is how it worked. But now that we're married, we're going to have to change, that. So bills were definitely paid first. What was left over, we would look at and then determine what percentage of our leftover we were going to set aside. And then that way, if something else came up, then we both had the money to contribute to it.
I think
I probably would have kept receipts on that, brother. Yeah, you're going to have to. Yeah. On that next check before you ball out, I'm going to need my money back. Yeah. It probably would have.
We were very young at that time. So we had to kind of go through some stuff before we actually learned what would work. And that's how we came up with the joint account method, just having, 3 separate accounts, personal account, and then the joint account. So anything related to the house and that extra savings, it went into the joint account.
We used the same method when I was married, but we would have those moments where it was like, oh, I forgot my card at home. I was a little bit more of a bulldog because if you forgot your card at home,
you ain't getting it.
I'm gonna need you to put that money back. No, I was serious. You got to the end of the day to put the money back in the account. Like there's no, because you're not gonna. There's no such thing. Like we're just not doing it. So, and I every day I do daily check-ins on that account. So, who bought Burger King? Because it's sandwich meat in here. I'm gonna need you to put that money back. Yeah.
So that's yeah. I mean, that's an important piece here. I think that maybe we gotta touch on is the communication and how we go about it, because that's some serious humbling that I'm hearing here, right? I mean, now Miss Taken, she said it gently. She says, you know, she has this conversation. We have to take a look at what's left over. If he's not used to having to take a look at with someone else what's left over and decide if he can go and play with it, you know what I mean? There's a humbling that goes into that. You know what I mean? And then it's her husband, so she probably knows how to approach him about it. And then Shannon says she's more of a bulldog. She's like, you got till 5 o'clock to put that $6.50 back in the joint account that you spent at the Burger King, or there's going to be some problems when you get home. You know what I mean? And that's also a different type of humbling, because you now at that point you feel like you're going to be in trouble had you not put that back, and you weren't at liberty to spend that on Burger King. You know what I mean? It's so there's a lot that goes in. I'm just taking notes here because there's a lot that goes into this. I think communication style, you know, depending upon the man, could play a big part in outcomes of these things, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, that's a sign. If Shannon's talking to her man like that, that's a sign of a man that's not doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're not gonna talk to me like that. And I mean, but the reason you're not gonna talk to me like that is because I'm handling my business, even if it's not financially. I know how to put it down somewhere where you're not gonna talk to me like that. You know what I'm saying? So it comes with a trade-off.
What's that face, Shan?
Brother in love, you're already aware. So we just okay. I'm back. So bless God.
So I mean, it's just like, hey, that brother not handling his business. You know, in a relationship, he ain't handling his business with the money. Like, you know, it looked like Shan need to walk away from that brother. I don't know if you already did, but see, they don't even work out. See,
Well, Prototype, let me ask you this. So you're saying that it sounds like he wasn't handling his business, because if it was you, she wouldn't talk to you like that, because you would be handling your business, even if it was somewhere else. But if if you're handling your business, let's say somewhere else, but the issue is the money, then why would that even matter if you're handling your business somewhere else in a great way, but the financial aspect you're not?
It's kind of one of those things where, like, I feel like I'm always good for it. Like, I'll eat your snacks. I'll invade your space. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat your leftovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm me.
Oh, that's a problem.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like, but you're not going to say nothing because I'm that good at what I do. So it's, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really care what you got to say, because I'm good for it.
You eat my leftovers, you're not good for it. You ate it.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's there,
but there's a level of there's a level of he can have it because I love him anyway. So whatever I got, he got. Or there's a level of he's going to replace it regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got this saying in the house where it's like, it's just cookies. Like, if somebody eats it's just cookies. We can get more cookies tomorrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it just is what it is.
I think that teaches a level of irresponsibility. Like,
it's not even respecting a person's
right
boundaries, and that for me is the bigger issue. As you can see, that's an issue in my house.
So here's my question.
There's no boundaries with me. Everything's mine.
I think a lot of men, and the reason I say a lot of men, because my sisters, my brother-in-laws, me and my sisters, is like we're all married to the same husband when it comes to that. And it should be boundaries in the sense of, just because we're together doesn't mean that everything I have is yours. Everything you have is mine. There is a level of individuality within a marriage. So if I had leftovers, would I mind my husband having some of it? Probably not. But the bottom line is, I just out of respect and consideration, ask me, babe, can I have some of this? Or are you going to eat the rest of this or whatever? I'm hungry or whatever you want. And I can say yes or no. But when you just go in there and just take it, and it's not your leftovers. That's a problem for me because I can go get something, we eat, and that could turn into 2-3 meals for me because I'll take it leftovers for lunch tomorrow, or I'll end up having it for dinner the next day. So this way I may not have to cook or whatever. So when you do that, you mess up my planning. And then I have to wait till you get it back to me if you do.
There's not a this is there's not a wait till you get it back. I'm going to make sure you're good regardless.
What does that mean? So if I used it, if that was my plan to use it for lunch the next day, you got hungry in the middle of the night, got up and ate it all.
Mhm.
How are you going to make good for that when I need it for my lunch?
I'll send you lunch while you're at work.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it comes to that, I'm
Did
not going to
you
let
see
you go
how
without.
she fell back, bro? Did you see that?
It's hot. It's a hot meal.
Like,
That's what happened.
she was at a different level when you had ate her
If
leftovers.
you
Facts.
brought me
Hey,
some
And then when I said how to
Hey,
solve it, then she was like, "Oh,
But if you paid attention, that was a marital dispute right there. There was a back and forth that just took place.
Facts.
Right?
as recently as last week. I'm like, yo, we keep having this conversation. Like, once he was like, I got you. So when you said that, I'm like, that's a trigger. Like, just stop eating.
yeah." Well, I mean, but that's not. But I my wife understands. Like, if I eat her stuff, you know what I'm saying, I'll replace it, and it, you know what I'm saying. She don't miss nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where she don't even have to work. She don't have to. Like, it just is what it is. So if I eat it, you know, if you're hungry tomorrow, I'll send you the Uber Eats. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever you want. You know, it don't even matter. So there's no missed meals, or, you know, I'm good for it.
Okay, then that
even
regard, I would fall back.
yeah.
Oh
and-
no,
and
you
even-
did. You did fall back.
Yeah.
Don't be calling me out, humble dad.
Hey,
Right.
hey, that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? What you got on it, Dwayne? You about to say something?
Man, so this one of them things that recently happened. I had to fall back big time on this myself because I was wrong. So I have the propensity to look for sales, and once I find a good deal, like I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, cool. So I didn't tell my wife. So I picked up this laptop. Didn't tell my wife. It was in the garage. I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna break it to her. And yeah, she came out there in the garage. I had it's been sitting out there for 3 days, and I finally cracked that joker open as the door creaked open, right? And I looked over at her. She looked at me, and she's like, "What's that?" Busted. And I felt so bad because, you know what? One of the first things she said, she's like, "How much was that?" I was like, "Oh, baby, it was $500." She's like, "Okay." You know that's infidelity, right? I didn't know how to take that.
She said that that's infidelity to you.
Yeah, she said it's infidelity.
Oh, wow.
I laughed. I laughed out loud. I did. Not knowing, I'm like, wait a minute. You got a good point right there. Because I was like, fidelity, infidelity. It's not just having to do with it's a break of trust. That's what I did. So here I'm over there, laughing out loud. She's dead serious. She's like, no, for real. Like, that's we got plans. We making plans. We trying to do something. And you went outside of that. Man, I felt so bad. I knew I messed up. It was one of them things like, man, I'll buy it back. Okay. I'll pay it forward. I'll do. It wasn't none of that.
I feel bad for you.
I'll Uber Eats it to you. No, it wasn't none of that. It was the principle. She was all about the principle. So I messed up big time on that. Big time, because like it's a trust thing, like, especially if you got plans. Like, hey, we're gonna save up this much to do this, and then I go outside of those parameters that we set together. It's not like she said it by herself, or so. Yeah, and in that conversation, I had to eat that. Like, yeah, I messed up. I messed up big time. So even laughing at the whole infidelity piece, I'm like, man, what books are you reading? What are you dabbling in? Because I thought you were out of bounds on that one, but you were in the ballpark. I was out of bounds.
Now, Dwayne, let me ask you a question. What happens on the other side? Let's say she goes and she buys something without consulting with you, a rather large purchase. How do you approach that?
Oh, so that's the pay it forward. Like, okay, you got one, but you know, in it, I look at it like this too. She's not into all that. Like, she doesn't go out there with the purses and all this expensive stuff. So like she keep it real simple. Like a conversation we had a couple weeks ago, like she don't need all that expensive stuff which I appreciate. So instead of, hey, I'm gonna go out there, she's like, do not give me no bag, do not go, because it's just gonna sit there. So it's like she looks for other things. So if she goes out there, sometimes I gotta be like, hey, go, hey, how do you feel about me spending this on this? Do it. Like, I'm, if anything, I'm like encouraging her, hey, go do it. As I'm over here trying to look for a hall pass. Maybe I saw this.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, but yeah, I look at it like, hey, you know, we take care of these kids so much. It's like there's times where we can treat ourselves, but in order to do that, you have to come to an agreement together. And I was out of bounds by doing it by myself. So, yeah.
Did everybody get a chance to speak on it?
I'm
I
just
see
looking at prototype
Martavius
space.
Martavius ain't go.
Okay, go ahead, Martavius.
Oh man, I would say just in the beginning, we kind of had issues with that. But then me, I'm a foundational guy, so I need structure. I need something to build on, and that's just my family. Anything. So me, I truly believe if our marriage is the foundation. If you got cracks in that foundation, then over time, things aren't gonna last. So money was an issue for me growing up. We wanted to always outdo the next person. So, me going to college, Jordans, all these things that really didn't matter. You spent a lot of money on, I would do it. So I had to grow out of that. So we used to have conversations about these things in order to fix it. But the thing that we ended up doing was, because we don't really spend a lot of money. It's like you get Black Friday and all of a sudden you just have to go crazy because we both look the sales too. But the thing is when we used to spend, it used to be in bulk. And so what we did, we just start taking out allowances for each other. So you can do 200, 300, 500, whatever you decide that allowance to be, and you pull it out of the bank and you get it in cash. And once that cash is gone for that month, then it's pretty much on you. So for us, that was a solution that we came to, actually putting cash in our hands, which sucks for me because I have a big heart. So every time I see somebody, I feel like I need to give them money, and that was an issue. Like, even though you think you're doing the good things, that's also something that you can't be doing that for everybody. You can't help and save everybody. So that's one lesson I had to learn as well. So for me, I think, like you guys say, like having those conversations, having those boundaries, and just building that trust with each other. And that's one thing that I had to learn, especially coming from two different cultures. My wife, like, her mindset is money. So she knows everything, how to make money, keep money, spend money. Like, she knows money. And mine was like, I just knew how to spend it. And so there was a problem that I had to adjust and just really grow and just mature in that area as well. Because I think that is an area that we need to mature in as well. So I think, like most of you guys, when it comes to marriage, that is the foundation. And most people get divorced because of money. And I think those are just cracks that things start to slip in and break you apart. So that's one area that for me, I knew I had to fix up and get used to. My wife really doesn't spend much. Like I said, she waits till Black Friday. And when she do want to spend, I don't mind because she don't do it as much. But the thing that we started to do when we do want to do little things, pull out an allowance. It may feel funny in the beginning, but like the stress that it saves you from fussing and arguing about money, like it just takes so much of that away because you know what you have and you know some of the things you get. So if you got something that's $500 and your allowance is $200, then you're gonna save. So it's also teaching you how to manage the little money that you have, the personal money. So all our accounts, we have it together. We have nothing personal, anything. So we do everything together because we was broke together and we started to build up wealth together. So everything that we have is ours. So we make decisions together and then we just go from there.
That's what's up. How did you get to the point of putting your ego aside and say, you know what, I don't really know about money, but she does?
Man, growth. Like I walked away
Oh,
from
so it took
football.
some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had walked away from football and discovered like I was just an athlete for 23, 24 years. That's all I knew was sports. And when I got to know myself, like I saw the real me, the person that I've been trying to hide for so many people for so long. And once I saw that, I was like, dude, you have to go to work. And the only way to go to work is get real about some of the issues that you have, get real about the way that you was raised and some of the things that you saw, and actually heal in a healthy environment. So when I got in healthy environments around people that had what I wanted, I was like you don't have to be perfect to get these things. You just have to be willing to be vulnerable, to open up and talk about some of these issues and go to work rebuilding that foundation. And what I learned is you have to tear down the wall and the foundation and start to build the foundation in the house and things that you want. And so once I started to do that, I understood it wasn't me building alone. I was building with my wife. Like God says, I'm going to send you a helpmate. So when I look at my wife and she start talking about things, I'm not discrediting anything that she has to say. Like she has something to offer to me as well. So her perspective is just as valuable as mine. So if she's telling me something about finances, it's because she's with a mom who's like built a successful business since she was 2 years old. Like she knows what she's talking about. So I'm not going to let pride and ego get in the way of her doing like our money. Like I'm not going to let that happen. Like I know I blew a lot of money. So I know that's not my area, and just so many things. And I think you said it just comes with growth and understanding. Like change doesn't happen overnight; it happens over time. But you literally have to go to work on yourself each and every day. Go to work on your marriage each and every day. Go to work on parenting each and every day. Unlearning some of the things that you was taught and how you was raised, but also understanding like your parents had all they had. They had all the information they had, but the amount of information and resources that we have today is like crazy. So if you want to be a better parent, like all you have to do is open up a book. People are writing books every single day. There's so many resources out there to get better at something. So for me, it's all about effort, not perfection, but effort. And if you want something to work, all you have to do is go to work on it to make it work. So I tell people all the time, marriages don't fail. The people in the marriage fail. Marriage is from God. God doesn't fail. So if you see a marriage that failed, it's not the marriage. It was the people, and communication was the glue that didn't work for them. It wasn't that they didn't love each other. That's why they got married. So if love cannot sustain a marriage. It has to be effort. It has to be trust. It has to be commitment and all of these other things that's going to outlast the love. So that's just my perspective on it, and just my perspective on how I love to do life and why I love to like invest in my marriage and do things like this around mature adults. Like you can't get on this and have a conversation with the ordinary person, because what you guys are talking about, they already dismiss what you have to say because their mind isn't open to that. They want to debate you. They don't want to have a conversation. So for me, I want to have a conversation because I'm not always right. And I'm willing to learn from anybody because I believe we all have value to add. So I just love to be in rooms where people are having conversations and inspiring each other to grow. So that's why I decided to get on this with you, because my wife kept telling me, you reached out to her and she was like, and like I said, I'm willing to learn from my wife. And once she said you wanted me to do this, I was like, okay, done deal. I know I have to do this because I know she is not going to send me something that's going to hurt me. It's only going to help me get better in some area of my life. So that's why I'm here today.
That's what's up.
I got
We
a
definitely
question.
appreciate your value. Go ahead, King Rio.
I got a question for Martavius, and this is especially, you're an ex-athlete, you know what it's like to be on a team. Do you feel like when you make error in your marriage, do you feel in trouble, so to speak? Because I gave you an example of what I mean. So like when we were giving examples here on the panel, I almost felt, from Dwayne's energy, he was in trouble when he made that large purchase. You know what I'm saying? And he had somebody to answer to, and she took him. He was on trial in the midst of that conversation. You know what I mean? Even mistaken. If you ate her lunch, she don't want to hear that you got me. Only resolve was you was gonna have her lunch by the time it was lunchtime tomorrow. Shan say you got about 5 o'clock to put the Burger King money back in the account, or it's going to be some problems. So as a man, I'm asking, do you feel in trouble when you make error, or does your wife communicate with you in such a way that you don't feel a level of anxiety?
Man, I'm human. Like we have conversations that it's not always smiles and rainbows. It's tears. We talking about real issues. But me, I think a lesson hurt before it teaches. So when something happens, I know it's coming from somewhere within that need to be addressed. We always say what's done in the darkness has to come to the light. So when you feel like something has happened, like that's just the darkness being put on the light. So it's like somebody shine a light on the error that you made. That's what an error is. It's something that you did, or something that you called. So for me, it's always taking and seeing things from her perspective. One thing that we learned going to just a marriage, a couple thing, and they talked about having dialogue, getting a person to feel how you felt. So if like Shan's telling her husband to do all these things, and then he have to have a dialogue with her to get her to feel how he feel when she's doing that. He feels disrespectful. He feels this. He feel that, and he's gonna try to get her to like at a time in your life when you felt this way, and she's like, "Oh, that's how you feel when I do these things, when I say these things." That's like a dialogue. So for me, like, yeah, sometimes it do feel like you're a kid and you in trouble, but at the same time, I think that's what marriage is. Sometimes having these hard conversations, because you can only grow from it, you can only learn from it. And when I go talking to Dwayne, like when he heard his wife say infidelity, yes, he did something small. Yes, he did feel shame at the time. But when he wasn't ignorant of something that he was doing, and she gave him knowledge, this is what that is, a break of trust, changing his perspective, seeing like it's not about you talking to her or looking at another woman. It's about you breaking your trust with me and the dreams and the future that we have with each other. So sometimes I think it's about growth with each other, and also just trying to get each other to see from your perspectives.
Yeah,
You're on mute, Miss Taken.
The other thing with that though, like when like she was like by 5 o'clock, that better be in there. It's typically because it's a situation that has already happened before. So the initial conversation occurred where he probably didn't feel in trouble because it was a new issue. So when the new issue comes along, I think that's when the initial dialogue starts. But it's when the dialogue has happened and then the behavior continues. Because 9 times out of 10, you're not just gonna feel it like Dwayne knew what he was doing. He snuck it in the garage and left it there for 3 days because he already knew.
Listen, that was like Jesus rising, right? Like
He already knew what he was doing.
Buried and resurrected.
Premeditated more time.
Right. He already knew that what he was doing went against what they had already discussed. So he was sneaking. Just like when I say my husband, he waits till I'm asleep, to get the leftovers, because he know if I was awake and I was there, then I'd be like, no, don't touch my leftovers. I'm having that for lunch. So 9 times out of 10, you feel like you're getting in trouble or feel like a kid. It's because you've already shown the behaviors and continue to do it. So now we look like we're nagging or being bothersome when we say something about it. But 9 times, and I think that goes both ways. Like I know certain things that my husband, like for me, when I would go out and I would go shopping or get things, he's a check-in kind of dude. Like, just let me know where you at. You know what I'm saying? Not that I care in the sense of you going at home or Target or whatever, but just check in. For me, it was, I just got caught up. Like, oh my God, they got this. Like, I just get lost and not even recognize it. And it got to a point where it was a huge thing for him, so when I didn't do it, I knew I was wrong, and then try to, be like, oh, well, I tried to call you earlier, but what had happened, so 9 times out of 10, that what you're doing is wrong, and you just didn't follow through on what the expectation was. So when somebody call you out on it, you feel some kind of way.
Even still, I don't think you should feel like a child about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've never felt like in trouble. I mean, but I'm just saying, this seems weird. That seems weird to me.
I know. I was
that he had to hide a laptop.
Disagreeable. That's all.
That's just weird. Like he had to hide a laptop. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. And then Shan's talking to her gal like, "Hey, head is back." Like, you know what I mean? Like y'all being bossed by y'all woman? Like what is like?
No,
what?
it's not that. You can't.
But Shan is bringing. Look, Prototype is bringing a real life a real life perspective to this, because some
Right.
people are going to be like, I bought the damn dinner. I'm gonna eat these. Don't worry about it. And see, and Dwayne, some people, I'm allowed to buy a computer. This is my house too. I decided I need a laptop. These are real arguments that take place.
like
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
listen,
Yeah.
I left the house one day in some sweatpants in the morning and came back with a brand new car. I ain't say nothing. I just showed it to the kids, like, look what I got outside. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't no debate about. There wasn't no, oh, I can't buy this car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand this. This hide my stuff, or I don't understand it.
I don't think we're saying that you're not like you can't go and do that, but where's the conversation? You know, like I think as a wife, I would feel like I need to come to you and say, hey babe, so I was thinking about getting a car. Like, can we go look at some this weekend? You know, like it's about
That's a
having
huge purchase.
Well,
Right.
like I said,
Did the car have anything to do with her prototype?
no.
That's why he felt
I
like
don't,
he
and,
didn't.
and I don't think Prototype is asking, can we go look at? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I think if he wants to go buy, he's going to
I'm
go
doing
buy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
but
that's what he's saying.
Well, I
it's
think
not taking
that's
away
a
from my house. I'm
problem.
not. I understand messing up the house, but I'm not messing up the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's house bills involved in a situation, right? They calculate that. That's one thing. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like the 3 account thing, right? Hey, your house account, and then the house comes out of that. There's no questions, and whatever you got, you go do what you want with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ask her; she go buy what she want, and you know what I'm saying? I go get what I want. Like,
Well, do you
But I
pay
think-
all
let-
of the
let me-
bills
let me
in
say
your
this real-
household?
yeah, I do.
Prototype? Okay.
that's what I was gonna say.
And that's what I was going to say. I think, which I still, I mean, I understand that that's a difference, but I still don't think that that means because I pay all of the bills, you don't have any say so or.
No, it's not that.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just I don't know. Nothing's messed up. We good.
He's saying that why if nothing's messed up, why does it matter that I made a big purchase?
Because
I think that's what he's saying. And then they're saying that similar to what you said, Prototype, you agreed on early in the conversation that each of us should come together and have a conversation about how we're going to spend our money. You said that, and then you came back and then you said, well, I can go spend however I want to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
you got
I said about the budget. The budget and how you spend your money is 2 different things.
Right. I think Prototype is talking about his own separate accounts, which I have no problem with. If you want to go and buy a car with your account, that's your business. I don't care. Which is why I had issue, because in my household, the $5 meal was a problem because you continue to have this repetitive behavior. You have your own money. Use your money. That $5 adds up. The household budget is about what we are working at together. That's why we have our own separate accounts. So if you wanted to go and do that every day, all day, by all means, do it until it's zero, negative, whatever. I'm doing whatever I want to. So again, if he wanted to buy a car in with his money, have at it. That's none of my business, none of my concern. But it does not become a household budget expense unless we have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I think I see both sides there, because I think what the women are saying is, if you make, if you do something so spontaneous, like what Prototype did, and it throws a wrench in the plan or it causes you to make error, that it impacts the family, then we have a problem. And Prototype is saying, I'm not going to do that if it were to cause error, throw a wrench in the plan. For instance, I think HD said Dwayne is building a house. So if we plan to build a house and then you just randomly go out and buy a car, wait a second, there's a good chance we might not be able to build this house because you just made this extravagant purchase, you know what I mean, that impacts our pre-approval potentially or something like that, right? So, I guess it's just about whether or not the decisions you are making are causing us to be in a bad spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for that situation, I say it is being in trouble, and I do look at it as that, because, like Ms. Taken was saying, is you can laugh, but it's like it's like our household is built differently than your household prototype. So in that regard, me and my wife, we came up with an agreement, and we came up with it together. I accepted, and she accepted, and we were in it together. I went off and did my own thing. So in doing that, I'm in violation. So as just taking ownership of the situation, like I have to own it.
So
I
she
messed up.
could scold you like a little boy.
Well, no. So that's the beautiful thing about it. So my wife surprises me all the time. So it's like, whenever you're supposed to come home and you're already putting on 3 pairs of jeans because you go about to get toe up. It's one of those situations. I put on 3 pairs of jeans and I just end up just being hot because there ain't no whipping, and that's the grace in which she is extended to me at times where it's like, you know what, that even makes it worse for me.
That's mercy. That's not grace.
Well,
So
thank you. Mercy.
It's
Thank
mercy.
you.
Okay.
So in extending that mercy to me, like that, I appreciate that. I really do. So in it again, I'd end up feeling worse because I'm like, man, look, see, you don't put yourself. I done gave myself the sweats just thinking about that tongue lashing she about to give me. When at the end of the day, it's like she's just gonna point back at me and like, you know better. And I got to look at myself and be like, yeah, you sure right.
That's all you should expect, though, is you know better.
Well, there is that, but then again, it's like just like with our kids sometimes, right? Like that's the same thing. Like, yeah, you put on those 3 pairs of jeans for a specific reason, and I'm gonna tear through them. There's that, and then I'm going to give you mercy. So like it can go both ways. So like, but with my wife, there's sometimes where like, yeah, like she has the right to be upset based on my actions.
Can one of you describe the difference between grace and mercy, please?
Something that you do deserve and something that you didn't deserve. And mercy is the releasing of what you do deserve, not giving it to you, not giving to you what you do deserve.
Like if you deserved punishment, but you didn't get the punishment.
Correct. You
that
didn't
would be
get
mercy.
Even although you deserved it.
Okay. And grace would be
what you don't deserve, you get it.
Okay.
So think about it as a gift versus a consequence.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, I be having to teach Dwayne sometimes because he be forgetting.
I be telling you about that GED, man. You
listen, bro. I don't want to hear nothing about your GED, bro.
You're
very eloquent. You just
see that I'm with the words, she with the numbers. So I
that's the bet. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Like, listen, make sure y'all check out these people. We got one last question. Check out Prototype over on Prototype Dad. And then you check out Shan over on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with you over there. Shan, you falling off.
I'm working. I am working. I'm not dancing with the kids. I am working. I'm out here trying to make moves.
Oh, okay. So you're not prioritizing family. I got you. And then you got
wow. We just went to chicken and pickle. Don't do me.
No, my bad. I just being consistent, okay, or persistent. All right. So, Martavius Young. Hey, what's the channel over there on TikTok that y'all have?
Oh, I do all mine at Martavius Young, and then my wife's is different.
So I saw your wife's, and then okay.
Yeah, we just do them different.
Bet Martavius Young. That's how he starts off. But if y'all don't know, listen, like I thought that was a problem, and then I went to go watch some other ones. I said, okay, this is his thing. All right, for sure. Then you have Mistaken. What you got going on, Mistaken?
I'm just on the Lapeef Experience network. So I'm on Chic Critique on Fridays at 9. On Mondays on The Solution, on Sundays if they need me. So just all things the Lapeef network, the Lapeef Experience.
Absolutely, that's what's up. Then Dwayne, you still taking photographs, man? You and King Rio, man, y'all need to talk about these cameras y'all got. You know what I'm saying?
He said somebody he was Nikon. I already cut him.
So it's one of those Android versus iPhone type.
I already.
That's a bet. So check out Dwayne Jones Photography. And then King Rio still doing his thing over there on Instagram. Am I right about that, King Rio?
That's a fact. And the link to my website is on the Instagram, so that's a good way to follow the
That's
work.
that's a bet. And you still doing real estate out there in the
Pens-
Carolinas?
Pennsylvania and North
Pennsylvania?
Carolina.
That's a bet. All right, so
Yeah.
check him out. And then, of course, you can check me out here. You can go to humbledad.life and find out all about me. Then you got my fiance who has a makeup school in Dallas. So, you know, anybody that want to learn how to do makeup, you can check her out at ksbsstudios.com. Ready for the last question? Here we go. So y'all was talking about the conversations, and I like King Rio, how he wrapped them all kind of together with a bow. And so I wanted to ask this question. How long should you carry being upset with your spouse? How long should you carry being upset with your spouse? Okay.
Over money, you mean, or just in general?
I'm gonna let you go with whatever context you want to put it in.
No,
And
because we had been talking about money and marriage, so I wasn't
for
sure
sure.
if it's
Yeah,
specifically related to that or just in general.
I know. And I'm saying over here, I don't really give context. I allow you to do that. And then you give us your answer, how you want to give it. So however you want to give it, that's on you.
I don't necessarily care to go all day about any topic about being upset. I'm more of a let's come to the table, let's put it on the table, let's work through it, and then let's move forward and not pick it back up. Like the pettiness, women holding on, that's not me. When my eyes close and wake up again, we're like, for real, we are done. Let's move on. Because I don't have time. We don't have time for that. So by the end of the day, it should be resolved and we need to move forward.
I'm kind of the same way in a sense of I need stuff to get back to a level of equilibrium as quickly as possible. I'm definitely not a grudge holder. I would say my husband he can be. I just think he needs more time to process stuff than I do. Like I'm you know, it's so funny. Me and my son are the same when it comes to that. My daughter and him are the same when it comes to that. They need time to get over things, process things, and then, you know, they can get back to, you know, equilibrium. But for me, I want it resolved as soon as possible. But I've had to learn that even though I'm like that, not everybody around me is. So I have to kind of learn how to adjust and adapt to what that looks like. But we're not going to drag something out for 3 and 4 days. Like, no. Like if you need 24 hours, I'll give you your space so you can deal with whatever you need to deal with that. We come back to the table because he is clear about, I don't want to talk about this right now. I have to respect that, you know, even though I'm ready. If he's not, then we're not going to be able to have a good communication where we can get to what the deeper issue is. So I have to learn to step back and be like, all right, well, when you're ready to talk, let's talk. But if he doesn't, then I will bring it up again because I never want it to be a situation where a lot of times, well, we'll talk about it and then nobody ever gets back to the conversation. It gets swept under the rug. But then when a new issue comes up, then all of that stuff that was under the rug start coming out too. So I had to learn like, nope, we gonna address it. You don't want to talk about it now? All right, cool. All right, we could talk about it tomorrow when you get home from work, or, you know, try to set a deadline for that so we can get back to the conversation and see what the real issue is. Like how y'all would talk about the food. It really wasn't about the food. You know what I'm saying? It's just about the lack of respect. So that's what the real conversation needs to be about, is that I feel like you disrespect me when you do stuff like that. So that's the real issue. It really wasn't about the food, is the underlying issue.
I mean, I guess I could jump in. You would feel so disrespected with me, like, because I was just, I don't have any regard for any personal space. I ain't gonna lie.
You were just teaching me to sneak, and that's not good either. Like I be in the fridge hiding stuff, like putting stuff in places that don't even belong there, so he can't.
Yeah, that will piss me off.
Right, but
that'll piss me off.
But you don't realize that you're creating that environment.
You hiding food? Heck no. You know what I mean? We got a problem now. So
see, you create that, and I think this is what happens a lot on either end. You don't realize that you're creating certain responses and reactions by your behavior. So his behavior is, I'm trying to trust to leave my food there, that you're not going to touch it. And if you do want some, that you would give me enough respect to ask and say, babe, do you mind if I eat the rest of your leftovers? But when you don't do that, I have the conversation and then you still do it anyway. Now you're going to teach me how to respond to you. And my response is going to be, I'm going to sneak it, put it over here, might put it in the freezer.
Well, no, your response is going to be, he'll replace it. So I'm not tripping. That's going to be your response. And that's how I'm going to teach you your response to be. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
going to eat your food. You're going to come to me like, you keep eating my food. I feel disrespected. And I'm going to be like, so I'll replace it. And you're going to be like, well, you got to replace it. As long as I replace it, I can eat it. You know
I think that would get old for me. I think that would get old for me quick because it's still a lack of.
It wouldn't get old. Trust me. It wouldn't get old. But as far as staying mad, right? How do I feel about that? I hate being in a turbulent space. Like it irks me to be in that kind of space. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you just said, Humble Dad, but
I said you talking about in your relationship because
in my house. In my house, I am everything has to be positive, happy, go lucky, peaches, and we love each other space at all times. And if it's not like that, it's a trigger for me. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing about it is though, it lasts as long as I'm being petty. So I have to reflect on myself, like, man, will you end this so you can be in peace again? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of those things. So as long as I'm being petty, then it's lasting and more stuff bubbles up. So I have to end it whenever I'm ready to end it. I'm always ready to end it, but I have to get over myself of she should come to me and blah, 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 blah. And that little argument that happens in your head of why you're beefing in the first place, and kind of have to come to grips like, man, if you don't just man up and end whatever's going on so everybody can be happy. You know what I'm saying? So maybe so, because I'm eating them leftovers. You know, I don't care where we got them from. I'm eating them if I want them. Anything in this house belongs to me, and I tell her, even her, everybody belong to me. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Who got next?
Man, I say this is an area I struggle in. Boy, I tell you, I struggle.
You petty? Is that what you're saying? You petty?
Man, so much so. Oh man, there's a singer out there, somewhat petty. I'm like, man, I'm up there with him. Like I don't know, man. Like there's some things like it's difficult for me to let go. I'm like, man. So I was thinking about this the other day. It was like you should never go to sleep when you're angry. I'm getting an argument. And be like, you know what? We'll pick up in the morning. I'm like, no, we gotta. And that never ends well, right? That never ends well. So I'm the whole night steaming, hot, frustrated, right? That turbulent area, yeah, in it. And then the next day I'm like, just waiting. Come on, let's have this conversation. Because I'm not going to you now. You call time out, all right? You got to call time in. And that's one of the things I struggle with. Because there's a calling time out and timing in. Like if you say like I offend you or I made you feel a certain way, all right, let me go. I'm going to go over here, okay? I'm going to go over here and you work that out. And once you work that out, then we can. But no. So I struggle with that. Because I'm like, man, and I'm real quick at cutting people off. I learned that from my mama. My mama from Jamaica, cutthroat. All right, she'll cut you off. But I learned in marriage that don't work. That don't work in marriage. So I've been having to really deal with that. And it's been, I'll say it's been a struggle, but I'll say this. Whenever a death happens in your life, you have that moment to reflect on how short life is. And we typically will then have these conversations over some petty stuff, right? We look back at it and it's petty. And we spend, I'll tell you, I could go weeks. But and that's, I know it's unhealthy, but I'm like, you know what? If I'm the problem, you ain't got to hear from me. It's like that. And I've been having to really reconcile and work that out, because I'm like, time is short. Time is real short. Look back at it, gone. So that's something I need to work on. Definitely.
Yeah, real quick. That's a good point. I was watching a video today that was talking about this particular statement about how long should you stay mad, or will you stay mad, and you want to get to resolution as quickly as possible, even if it's not the day. I'm trying to get it, within the conversation. That's me. I mean, I don't know who knows my situation, but me losing my late wife, made me understand that time is not on our side like that. So with Kendra, when we have our arguments, I don't be wanting to be the first person to say I'm my bad. You know what I'm saying? My ego is really big. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't like apologizing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to have the conversation and trying to get past me being upset or whatever as quickly as possible, because I want to have as many happy days as possible. You know what I'm saying? And memories as well. So in my estimation, I would say try to resolve the conversation, resolve the issue in the conversation, if at all possible, right? If at all possible. But if it gets to a point where one of the people doesn't want to talk, then you got to kind of let it go, or else it will get escalated. But I do believe that the person that calls time out should call time in, and not get bothered at the person that calls time in because you came at I would say unreasonable time not to have the conversation. So that's my take on it, for sure. I think we have a couple people left, and then we're gonna end the show. But I appreciate y'all people. Who needs to go next?
I could jump in there.
I bet.
Well, one thing I wanted to say, I feel like leftovers in general have like a 2-day grace period. After that point, you're wasting food, and we run the risk of the food going bad. So at that point, it's up to me.
That's what's up.
It's a humanitarian crisis. You doing your part.
Just saying. All right. Now, when it comes to how long, I'll just speak for myself. I can hold a grudge, but I typically hold a grudge if it's clear that the other person is wrong and they're not willing to acknowledge it or take accountability for it, and pretend as though they're not wrong and then get mad too. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. You don't have the right, just because you don't want to acknowledge the fact that you're wrong, to get mad as well. Like, what are you know what I mean? And so that I don't know, that's something that I seriously dislike, and I can hold a grudge for a long time about that. If I'm wrong though, and I can come to grips with that, if I can recognize that, however long that may take, I'm the first to apologize, right? Because I want to take ability for my wrongs. I want to clear the air. I want to address the situation, and so that everybody can be okay. You know what I mean? So it's not a one-sided thing, and I think I just expect that in other people.
I think it's on you, Tay, or Prototype, one of y'all. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Man, that used to be biggest issue for me, because I can get mad at my wife and we live together, and I cannot speak to you for a couple of days, give you those one-word answers. But that was something that I had to learn to work through. So at this point in our life, especially with 5 kids, like it has to be done before we go to bed. Like, we have to talk it out. I think that's probably one thing that we've learned is, like, you have to have like you feel how you feel, and I can't tell you that it's wrong or it's right, but you feel that way. So we need to have a conversation about it. So for us, we've just come to that point because we both used to do it. But like with 5 kids, man, they're watching you. They see everything. The same way I see my son sometimes. And you can tell by his body language something is wrong. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. And something's wrong. Like they watching you. They know when you're mad at your mom. They know when she's mad at you. So they pick up on these things as well. So I think the more kids we start having, the more we have to like become more aware. Like they're watching everything that, we're doing, and they seeing what marriage should be like. And we're setting the tone for them. So we had to get to that point where we had to be mature enough to like understand, like waking up mad is just bad for anybody. That's like just, man, that's a terrible way to start your day, because especially if you're going to a job, like somebody can smile at you and you already pissed because of the conversation you have with your wife. So for me, like if it's like unnecessary weight, like I'm not carrying it. I had to learn that the hard way growing up from like the things that I used to carry for so long. Like once I like understood, like you no longer have to carry these things because immature adults put these things on you, and I feel like it was a choice that I was making. Once I figured that out, and over the course of time, being married, then having kids, learning like you don't have to carry these things. You can have healthy conversations and move forward from these things. Once we started doing that, then we learned, like you said earlier, Dwayne, like don't go to bed, don't be mad and let the sun go down. Like we don't do that. We don't like, I cannot get into bed mad with my wife because I love my wife, and my love language is physical touch. And if I'm pissed off, then I'm not touching her because she's not having it. So we have to have these conversations. Like, you don't make 5 kids just by liking each other. Like there has to be some eros, so we have to have those conversations because that's my love language, for one. But for 2, like we have to like learn to grow together, to have mature conversations and just be able to talk through things. Marriage isn't perfect. Marriage isn't always rosy things. Like things are going to happen, but you have to learn how to talk through these things. So for mine, we don't like, it has to be dealt with that night, and we do give each other the space and the grace, but at the same time, we know we have to come back and have that help, that conversation, whether how long it may take, because that's the only way that's going to move forward. Because if you don't, you're just going to sit on it and be pissed at each other, and your kids going to be watching that. And that's the one thing that we keep in the back of our minds. We don't want our kids to see these things. So for us, like I said, it's just one night and we have to deal with it.
That's good stuff. Prototype, did you go?
Yeah, I went already.
That's a bet, man. Is anybody else wanting to add? Listen, y'all have been phenomenal. I appreciate the time. Sorry I started late, but y'all have done a wonderful job. Tay, appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can have you back. Miss Taken, you know how I get, you on what? We gonna give it like once a month on first Mondays. That's what it is that we talked about that. Prototypes always here to disagree. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, he was doing good at first. Did you see that? And then all of a sudden he's like, dang, man.
As soon as it got to the leftovers, it went left.
That's a fact. It did.
I'm gonna eat them leftovers.
It did. Absolutely. You know
in front of you. You're gonna be like, you can eat my right in front. Oh.
Man, that's
so
a principal item.
That's so bad.
I'd be petty. I'll smack it right out your head.
That's unbelievable. And then Shan, she's been a regular, so I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? And then Dwayne, he's the reason why we even doing this. So shout out to Dwayne. He told me you told me I need to be doing my mission, bro. You said I need to go ahead and get this done. That's
I agree with that.
Okay. And so we've been running like the last 6 months, bro. I don't even think you knew that. You know what I'm saying? It started off with just 2 people, maybe 3, and then it's been a regular 7 to 9. So that's on you, homie. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my homie King Rio. Got everything together. You know what I'm saying?
Good to see you back, Rio.
Only for the doc. I've been doing other things, and this guy, he's consistent with what he's doing, and I help in any way that I can. So thanks for having me on, man. I'm glad I can support.
For sure. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.